Hello, welcome to Layback with Betfair. I'm Tom Haylock. I haven't been here, so I thought I'd introduce myself. Couple of special guests, Trent Crebbin from Racing and Sports and Liam Clancey. How are you, Trent? Good to have you here.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Very excited to make my debut on Layback and looking forward to a great show.
Yeah, we've done some things with Racing and Sports, and obviously Betfair and Racing and Sports have a good partnership, so great to have you on board. Hopefully you lay some losers and find plenty of winners, and we'll welcome you back. Clance, how are you, mate?
Very well, very well. It's good to be here once more. It's a different looking panel today than it has been.
More leg room?
More leg room. I think the people have listened. They've got rid of footy. No, footy's got a very exciting week ahead that we'll get to later on, but we're very, very excited for him.
Yeah, congrats to Nick Foot. We'll touch on that as well. Huge weekend of racing, Moonee Valley Friday night. Good for. Great day of racing, 4-horse field in the Feehan. We'll touch on that. Then we got the Golden Rose on Saturday as well. Always a fantastic race and a couple of fantastic events on the card there. The weather forecast has changed looking at Rosehill, so we'll touch on that. Start as usual with the lay-bins, guys. I'll let you two take the cake first. Trent, as the debutant, what have you got for us for the lay-bin this week?
Yeah, it didn't take me long to come up with this one, to be honest, Tom. Was doing the shopping the other night, and I'm normally going to the supermarket for one day of shopping, and it's in, out, quick basket. But had to do a few more things this week. Ooh. And went to go grab a trolley for the first time in a long time. And I could not believe that Woolworths, South Yarra, trolleys, you still need to put in $1 coin to unlock them. Who is carrying coins these days? So I had to grab a basket. It was really testing out the biceps.
They need a square or something these days, don't they?
Yeah, surely you can tap your phone and unlock it or something. I don't know. But that goes in the lay bin for me. Trolleys need
no trolley for you?
No, had to give the muscles a workout, and the basket was overflowing, and it was no good.
I hope you weren't picking up a couple of slabs of water or something like that.
Well, I had to let a few things go, and it was disappointing.
It's a good lay bin. Yeah. Good start from you.
Yeah, very good start, Trent. Mine came up in the last 15 minutes when you spend all day on a Wednesday doing your form for a heavy 7 in Sydney, maybe potentially a heavy 9 if it gets to that stage. I think we had up to 100 mil predicted on Thursday and Friday. I look up the bomb this morning and there's 0 to 3 and 0 to 1 mil, a max of 4 mil down from 100. They can get in the lay bin. I know they're there very frequently, and we spoke about it last week, how they can be another one of the bin liners, I believe. But it's disgraceful this time of year.
Well, even looking Wednesday, it was 0 to 30. Like, get off the fence. It could have been a good 4 or a heavy 10. So it has changed. That's fair. My lay bin this week, I'm not happy about this. Dean Watling. So as you know, we had the Sydney event on Thursday up in Sydney, the spring launch in Sydney, and got Dean a ticket, invited Dean. Great to see him briefly, and I said to him earlier in the week, Monday or Tuesday, I'll kind of stick around and go to the races. And he's like, "No, I can't make it. I've got a birthday." So I didn't see him. Sunday morning, on the way to the airport home, look at his Instagram, and there was a story of him at the track.
I thought you guys are pretty good mates.
Well,
is that
clearly
not true?
Clearly not. So that is abysmal behaviour. That is deplorable.
Are you close enough to call him out on it and see what happened there?
Well, I'm calling him out on it here. That's just not on. So he said, I don't even want to go into his excuses, but I called him out. So stuff you, Dean. Not good enough. Anyway, let's get into some winners, guys. Before we do that, I actually want to talk about AFL Grand Final. Mm-hmm. Sydney-Brisbane. Sydney currently $1.87. Brisbane $2.14. It's amazing I'm in a room in Melbourne with 3 Crow supporters. It doesn't happen very often, but Sydney $1.87, Brisbane $2.14 on the exchange. Who do you like, Trent?
Yeah, I think you've got to give the edge to Sydney. I thought they'd be a little bit shorter than that, to be honest. I've kind of, without having too much of an opinion on it, I thought Sydney would probably be your kind of clear 15, 20-point favourites, I would have thought. But the market's keeping it close. 2
losers in the recent 2 years as well. Liam, who do you like?
Oh, I wish that Brisbane had a bit of an easier track to the grand final, and I'd give them a great show, but they've just done it too hard, and I don't think they can afford to get away with those sort of things in the granny. Sydney, I think if they're in front by quarter time after their notorious poor starts, if they're there at the quarter, it'll be hard to stop, I think. But I'd love to play in the Norm Smith market. I think Neil's the one for Brisbane. I think you can probably just take him on his own. If they're to win, he's going to have a very big game, and then. Who do you take out of the big 3 at Sydney? I'm not sure which, but
can anyone other than those 3 win it for Sydney?
I'll say no.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fair.
it'll be one of those. They look so good when they're on, and you just see. I mean, Heaney in particular in the last month of the home and away, and even at finals as well. When they're down, he just pulls them on his own back and away he goes. So I think he would be the standout for me, and then Neil for Brizzy.
I think Heaney's the clear standout for me. The media love him. He's the pin-up boy. His body of work throughout the year, like even if there's a subconscious bias, if it's close call between him and a couple of other players, you're leaning to Heaney as a commentator because the media vote on it. So
beautiful, 22 degrees and sunny on Saturday.
Oh, his hair
He's
will
got
be-
the tan
yeah.
skin, the blonde
Correct.
hair. He's standing out very well.
correct. I think I'm with you, Lamb and Trent. I think Sydney are the team to beat. I agree. $1.87. I'm happy to take that. I'm actually going a bit of a blowout just for something different. I think Sydney can roll over them and win by 54 points. So they've had the best preparation. They look so fit. When they had that down period 3/4 of the way through the year, they lost a few games. I reckon they had top spot basically locked in. I think they were doing a mini pre-season, set them up perfectly for the finals. As you said, Brisbane third away game in a row. I think Sydney can run over the top of them. So if they're in touch, quarter time, I'll be calling up and jumping on Sydney there. So that's the AFL. Good luck to both teams and anyone having a bet on that game. Let's head to Moonee Valley Friday night, grand final eve. Fantastic meeting. As I said, good for rail out 3. Probably plays pretty fairly with that rail position generally. What are your thoughts on that, Trent?
Yeah, I think Moonee Valley this season's actually been playing really well, which has been a welcome surprise compared to some seasons. So, yeah, rail out 3. They've been getting off the fence a little bit lately when the rail's been true. So I think that'll just even that up. And I'm expecting tempo and map related
Fairest,
to be the main
fairest
thing.
spot?
Yep.
You've got it fair? Nothing
Got
to
it
add?
fair?
Just
No,
nodding?
just be one of those occasions where if anything pops up in the first 3 races, we can adjust. But for now, hoping for a very good night of racing. Wish I could be out there.
Yes, yeah, we're going out there, so I think you're up there,
I'll be there,
too.
yep.
So we're all on track. Bring your Sharpie, Lamb. The Feehan, Group 2, race 4, 1,600 metres, 4-horse field. What does the map look like, Trent? I reckon it would have taken you about 12 seconds to put this one together on Racing and Sports.
That's a softball easy. Very
If you get
obviously.
this wrong, then you struggle.
Very easily, obviously, Pride of Jenny will go straight to the front. There is a little bit of contention, Mr. Brightside and Antino, because Antino did go forward in the Maccabi Diva and Brightside sat behind him. So they're probably just the next pair, whether one of them wants to press on and kind of make it a 4 in-line running line, and then attrition will be out the back. But yeah, it'll just be how quickly Pride of Jenny wants to go, really, and that's the race.
Now, yeah, Antino has been slowly away throughout his career, so that adds an element as well. Does a small field help Mr. Brightside or Pride of Jenny?
I honestly don't think it matters too much. I just think it more comes down to who paces their race the best. And we've seen when Pride of Jenny gets it perfectly right, she's incredibly hard to beat and incredibly hard to run down. But last start in the Maccabi Diva, Craig Williams rode the race perfectly on Mr. Brightside. He paced it incredibly efficiently, and Pride of Jenny perhaps just went out a touch too quickly, but was still very strong to the line. So I'm not too worried about the small field for either of them. It'll just be who gets their race right in the first half of the race, and Pride of Jenny probably will be in front with 50 metres to go, and it's whether Mr. Brightside can get into it late.
As she was last start. Who are you with, Lamb?
Pride of Jenny, for sure.
So you said that quickly.
Yeah, pretty keen as well. I think I've got a marked $1.75. Brightside out at $3. So I think the big difference between this and the Maccabi is we're going to get a firm track, or a much firmer track than that day. And I think the soft track was certainly suitable to Mr. Brightside, and Jenny was just so gallant in defeat, wasn't she? Looking forward to seeing her. I mean, she's got the perfect racing style for Moonee Valley as well. I think she'll get to the corner first, she'll kick, and without anyone to help tack Mr. Brightside into the race this time, I think he'll find it a touch harder to catch her. So really keen Pride of Jenny. I would not be at all surprised if the market actually does flip and she starts firm fave. And we can always say these small fields where the roughies have a chance, but I just don't think that the top end talent that we've got in this race will allow that to happen.
No, I agree. I think Pride of Jenny. I was surprised to see her much longer in the market than Mr. Brightside. I think she got to 220 at various stages and around that price, and I think she should be favourite. I've got a mark favourite as well, Liam, and I'm with her. Are you doing the hamburger? You're laying Mr. Brightside as well?
Yeah, gonna lay Brightside at the early price. I mean, we're laying at 220 on the exchange at the moment. Yep. I think that's a good lay price, and if if he does get anywhere out near that, 280, 290 mark late, I'll have it back. So I've just got Pride of Jenny going herself, but happy enough to lay at that price.
You and I are in line there. I don't know whether I'll lay Mr. Brightside. I've got him down as a lay at the moment. We'll just see, but definitely have Pride of Jenny marked favourite there in the Feehan. Let's head to race 5, the Scarborough Stakes, 1,200 metres. Quality race, a fair bit of speed here, Trent.
Yeah, there is. It looks a good race, and it's at the set weights here, and I was quite keen to play actually with a couple of horses. I thought the first one was Anisa that resumes here. A few of the others have had the run under the belt here, but I thought her form last time in was really strong for this. Yep. Her win in the Percy Sykes in Sydney rated quite well. She beat Lady of Camelot that day. She did have a weight advantage there, but it was still a good number that she put up, and she maps really well from a soft gate. And I thought the other one that was out of the main lead up at Flemington, the Captain Teves, I thought To Be or Not To Be was potentially the big improver out of that race. She was kind of along the inside there with no cover, and it was a day that you kind of wanted to be back in between runners with the wind coming across them, and I thought she stuck on quite well. Her win at 1,200 metres before a spell over Amina. That horse has been running well in some of the better Sydney lead-ups towards the Flight Stakes. I thought she'd be the big improver, and again, maps really well from barrier 5. So they're the two that I'd be keen to play, but there's, you couldn't talk me out of quite a few of these in this race.
Tommy Tupou for you. I'm just taking on the Captain Teves a little bit. I'm leaning to the other form there. Who are you with, Lam?
Yeah, I'm somewhat with you there, Tommy. I think there's going to be a really strong tempo here. You've got Chateau Miraval and Bold Bastille that'll go out quick, and Sassy Jenny will be up there too. But I love the Quisette form, which does tie into the Captain Teves pretty well. But Drifting won that day at Caulfield. GG's Mistruth was in second, and it came home really strongly for second. And Bellatrix Star was further back in that race and ran in for a fourth. Bellatrix obviously has gone really well in the Captain Teves since.
Yes.
That's a Group 2 winner over the 1,200 in New Zealand before she came here, and has seemingly brought that form. So she seems an enormous price at $10 early. And GG's Miss Truth just sits that little bit closer than her at a barrier 4. And if she produces that same turn of foot to run second in the Quisette, has been back to Tassie since and had a nice trial to keep her fifth for this. So $10 Bellatrix, and we're getting $6 GG's Miss Truth. They're the two I'm keen to play in the race, but I will say absolutely scared stiff of Anisa. If she comes back how she won that Percy Sykes, I mean, the race is over, but she just appeared to be quite soft in the trial, and I would imagine this race will bring her on a lot more for whatever's further on down later in the prep. Last one I'll mention, I won't be backing here, but Matisse has trialled extraordinarily well, so we'll go in the quaddie.
Why aren't you backing here? Just because you prefer the race fit other ones?
Yeah, one race too early, yep.
Yeah, I find it hard always to line up. Like, this is a very different set of circumstances between Captain Teves down the straight now to Moonee Valley 1,200, completely different setup. I went looking for Anisa. I agree, nothing wrong with the jump out at Pakenham down the back straight there. I'm with Matisse, just looking for a bit of value. I love that trial. Got some great form lines, obviously. Was dominated Shadow Miraval in that trial and ties in through a lot of these through Hayasugi. That's great form lines. Ran a great race to Blue Diamond. So I'm with Matisse at the better value, but GG's Mistruth really scares me. I spoke to a Tasmanian-based client and they said she's a star. So she ran the fastest final 600 metres of the meeting there at Caulfield too. So you can't pen her, and then scared of Anisa, and I've got a lot of time for Z-Tongue. So they're the four that I'm focusing on, but Matisse the better value of them all, and I'll be backing Matisse each way. Race 5, number 6.
We've always touched on every horse.
We have.
Race, so we're going right at the quaddie.
The one we haven't is Bold Bastille, and I thought if she was maybe the hole in the market, I don't think 1,200 out to 1,200 for her drawn wide is a real query for me. So if you were looking for a lay, something that maybe her the place would be the angle. I'd be going there.
Great shout with that map in the barrier.
Yeah. Just don't think she'll run the trip.
Yeah. Yep. Great shout there. The Stutt Stakes. Griff won it last year.
On his way to Guinea's Glory.
Race 6, the Stutt Stakes, the Group 2, over a mile. We've all got differing opinions here. We'll start with you this time, Liam. Who are you with?
Yeah, well, I think the Exford Plate is the form line you want to be looking coming into this. That was over the 1,400 at Flemington. Dawn Service looked a terrific winner coming down from Sydney that day. The time was somewhat concerning from that race, I thought. They went out at somewhat even tempo and they came home quite slowly. So that was on a soft 7, so there's a little bit to take into account there, but pretty keen to be with the different form, and I've ended up with Evaporate. It's a horse that's improved with every start, absolutely brained them last start out to the 1,600. at this track when getting onto a good service, and obviously we're getting both of those on Saturday. He's up with 50 metres to go. There's plenty still left in the tank there and rated really well. So there's plenty of reasons to be with this horse, and I think we're getting, 480 currently. So I think that's a great bet for me. In a race where we see a lot of the same horses coming back and without a whole lot between those three in particular coming out of that extra plate, Evaporate's the one I'm keen to play.
Trent?
Yeah, I think the X plate is the form line, and I don't really see any reason to jump off the winner there, Dawn Service. I thought it looked like he got a fairly easy lead there, but the splits show that he was running at a pretty solid tempo there, and I thought he was doing enough late to hold them off. So I don't really have an issue with him stepping up to the mile. He's by Justify. He's very well bred out of Sunlight. I think he's going to roll straight to the front again, and I think he's clearly the horse to beat. The price is probably about right. I wouldn't want to be taking sub $3 with him, but that if that market percentage comes down with Betfair and we're getting that 350 mark, I think he's the one to beat. And then I know you're keen on one that's probably going to be getting back in the field, but looks pretty sharp in Henline.
Yeah, I think there was enough pressure in this race. Dawn Service, obviously, Garcon, Despur and Daggers from a tricky barrier one, so might have to kick up there.
Ruta Royale will be going forward.
Ruta Royale has speed.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And they all tie in. So I've looked away from that. Like Daggers and Ruta Royale tie into each other. Obviously, Dawn Service ties in through them all as well. I went looking for the different form, and I can see why you like yours. And I'll be saving on Evaporate. But I'm with Henline here. Might be one run too early, as you guys pointed out off air. But I love what this colt's been doing. He ran the fastest at Flemington 14:20. He ran the fastest 400 and 200 of the meeting there at Flemington in his second start. It was an outstanding performance when running third there. His debut win was okay. Last time at Rosehill, he went to the Ming Dynasty first up. He worked to his outside, got checked, had to duck back along the fence, and finished off that race very well. I could make a case to say he would have been in the finish there. 1,600 metres looks perfect. He just brings different form and is an each-way price. So hopefully he can get the last crack at them. Love the stable and love the horse. So Henline for me each way, and I'll be saving on yours, Liam.
Yeah, and was very, very heavily backed in the market that day in Sydney in the Ming Dynasty. So had it not been so heavily checked, might have been in it. But I still think probably going to be better off a little bit further down the track.
Yeah, I reckon he's the spring champion horse that a few of these colts in the top of the market probably won't end up going to that 2,000 metre race, and I reckon he's one that'll get to that race and be a leading contender on the day.
Great shout. Is there any concern, obviously a mile race with a few of these that tie in, like Ruta Royale, Dawn Service, Daggers, the mile, any query for them?
I don't think it'll be a query for Dawn Service, just knowing the speed that he went out last start, and Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott horses up in trip, they just run it time and time again, and he's by Justify. A lot of those younger horses are getting a mile, 2,000 metres. So I don't think it'll be a huge issue for him, and I'm happy to just back the stable in to get him that trip.
Yeah, I've just lent the way of the
but Henline's the one that'll absolutely relish it.
Henline and Evaporate are the proven milers, in my opinion. I think they'll love it. So just lent that way. Let's get to the feature. The Group 1 Manikato, 1,200 metres, race 7 on the card at Moonee Valley. Cracking race. It's a brilliant field put on this year, Liam. What do you make of the speed here?
Yeah, fascinating. And geez, I tell you what, I was so upset when they initially did move this race meet from Cox Plate Eve, but it seems to have done wonders for the field.
I love the double.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? But at least now we've got the double straight into the grand final, so we've still got something to enjoy.
Yep.
To answer your question, I think Recommendations drawn really nicely is proven at Moonee Valley to relish these conditions. So I think Recommendation goes forward, gets the rail. Estriella likely to push forward as well. The only question I have is does Growing Empire try and push forward and sit outside Recommendation, or is he happy to take a sit? If he wants to go forward, Estriella ends up 3 wide again and cops that really rough run that she did during the Moira as well. But for now, I'm going to assume that Growing Empire will be happy to sit that one pair back, and Estriella gets across. You go further back in the field, Hayasugi's drawn really nicely, so probably doesn't have to go back as far this time. And I wish a win has drawn the widest in 12, so that seals his fate, and he'll end up back last. So that's how I'm seeing the speed.
Blinkers back on Growing Empire. Do you think? I think they have to be positive with that gear change, but you don't want him overdoing it if they are too positive. There's a risk that he does get caught 3 deep as well on speed if they're not positive early. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of had him mapping. It won't be particularly easy, but I thought he would get to the 1-1. And I think Estrella, they kind of ummed and ahed in the Moya first up and ended up sitting 3 wide. I think they were kind of trying to race Lady of Camelot and just forgot about Mornington Glory, who was out in front. So I think they will, at 1,200 metres, she's quick enough to get outside the lead. And I think Growing Empire will just kind of follow her and just get in behind to the 1-1. So
interesting.
Yeah, I think that's where he gets to.
Yep. Who do you like, Liam?
I am leaning a couple of different directions. I think Hayasugi was absolutely stunning in the Moya. I think she's every chance to run over the top of them here from that one pair closer. I also think she'll be better suited out to the 1,200 as well. I really like her chances. The other one that I won't be losing on as well is Climbing Star. A bit of a rougher price. We're at $32 on the exchange currently. Group 1 winner in the Sangster in Adelaide, out to the 1,200, and has really been prepped up to win this. Has trialled really nicely coming in, and they've also said, look, whatever happens after the Manikato happens, but we're there to win that race. And I love hearing that sort of thing. Obviously, it's Group 1, why wouldn't you? But has this very similar ratings profile for a lot of these horses. Yeah, we're getting a much bigger price. So I'll be with that form, and I'll be laying Growing Empire for a couple of reasons. I just don't know where they're going to land. And then Mark Zahra jumping off, and obviously Craig Williams is a sensational jockey, nothing wrong there. But
sounds like you're potting him.
Well, I'm more so potting the fact that Mark Zahra has chosen to go elsewhere.
So for Mark Zahra.
Yeah, Zahra wouldn't be wide. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point. But but without Zahra, who's been so dominant on Growing Empire, I'm happy to go the way of Hayasugi and Climbing Star.
I think Hayasugi's the better 3-year-old, to be honest. I loved her return. Jamie Carberry too worries me a little bit. Around the tight turning track. Obviously, we've seen what played out in the last couple of weeks with her, but just that's the worry. We'll need breaks at the right time. Hayasugi from that inside barrier. So, how have you seen the race?
Yeah, I don't really like the draw for Hayasugi, to be honest. Whether she's got the speed to settle close from the draw. She's never drawn a gate in her life, so we don't actually know whether she's going to be able to use it. But I've kind of got a 3, maybe even probably 4 back the fence, which is a really tricky spot for her. I thought Coleman from barrier 1 was going to be a lot more positive this time. He does have a bit of speed and up to 1,200 metres. He was a bit plain in the Moya. He was fading late, but I really don't think he's a 1,000-metre horse, and I thought he might be a big improvement. I think he's going to drift as well on the exchange. I think you'll get better than 20-1. And some of his ratings as a 2-year-old in the Golden Slipper and whatnot, they were good enough to win this, I think. So if you're getting 20-1 or bigger on the exchange, I'd be having something on him.
There you go. I'm with you, Liam. I'm laying Growing Empire. Shocked he started favourite or open favourite here. I think he'll continue to drift. Haven't got him anywhere near favourite here. He beat Wonder Boy and Stay Focused in the middle. And McNeil, the race shape suited him. I know he looked fantastic there. Again, straight track form in listed race up to Group 1, 1,200 metres at Moonee Valley. Different setup. Awkward barrier. I think even if settles outside lead, I don't like that for a colt absorbing a lot of pressure. This is Group 1 pressure. So I'm happy to be against him. Depends what price he gets to, but I think he will continue to drift. I'm surprised to see him start favourite. So he's my lay and probably the play in the race. I couldn't tell you who I think will win. There's a few luck in running will play a big part. So.
And I wish I win obviously has the class over all of these. To the eye, it didn't look like he came home super well in the Moya, and he's rattled off the fastest last 8.642 of the day. So he can do those sort of things without looking he's doing anything crazy, and he has the runs on the board that no one else in this race has. So I have him marked favourite, and we haven't even spoken about him yet. But
I've got him marked favourite as well narrowly, and the exchange
started to firm. He started to firm a little bit, but he might be a play in play. We saw Betfair posted a tweet and some social media stuff of Shitaka winning a few years ago. He got out to $500 in play and was always going to be back. Might be the same. So you might be able to get a big price in play and see how you go there. But let's move on. That's the Group 1 Manikato covered. The Group 2 Stocks Stakes, very good race last year. And it's a good race this year. So who do you like here, Trent?
Yeah, in the Stock Stakes. Of course, last year was Amelia's Jewel beating Pride of Jenny in track record time, and that's worked out pretty well for Pride of Jenny so far. Not so much for Amelia's Jewel, who goes around in Sydney. We'll touch on her a little bit later. But yeah, I thought Grinzinger Bell was very comfortably the horse to beat. She's been well backed early, and she's probably into kind of a rock bottom price here, but I think that's just map related. She was really good in the Let's Elope Stakes at Flemington. I will say she got a really good ride there from Damien Lane. He rated her perfectly in front, and the others were just given two negative steers and had too much to do. So the margin maybe is a little bit inflated there. It was a heavy track as well by that time. So, all that said, she still won by 4 lengths. And even if you take a little bit off her there, I still think she's probably got a bit of a ratings edge on these. And Moonee Valley, 1,500 metres, just looks ideal for her second up. She's going to roll straight to the front. And I think she'll be trading shorter in play in Betfair. So, yeah, I'd maybe just look to back her a little bit later as this market percentage comes down. But in play, I'm expecting her to hit a fairly low quote.
Yeah. Not much of an opinion from you here, Liam?
No, Gringan Zinger Bell on top, but too short for my liking. She has to give away an extra kilo from that race, but she has spanked him. So I think that's well deserved. Lady Jones ran the fastest closing splits in that Let's Elope, and we're getting a decent price there. So certainly could be tempted there, but not keen to play anything early.
I think a few people will jump on Grinzinger Bell come the last race at 9:45 p.m. The favourite in the last and the leader in the last. So I'm with you. You've got to have her on top. She just ticks a lot of boxes, but it's all about price for me, and she looks short enough at the moment. I've got a bit of time for Osmos, but often better second up. 1 second up last campaign as well. So there you go. Now, before we get to Rosehill, Liam, you can talk us through this. What caught my eye segments? There's been a bit going on. Nick Foot's not here today. Do you want to explain why he's not here and what you got up to during the week?
Yeah, certainly. So, we often use this segment to see something or to bring attention to something we've seen on Twitter during the week or anything like that. But there's only one thing that we're interested in talking about this week, and we're absolutely thrilled for Footy to get his first gig in a grand final. Yes, give him a great applause. And whilst we miss him from the show today, he's got much more important things on his plate. But
look at him waving tomorrow in the parade.
Yeah, the parade could really suit him tomorrow.
Wobble.
There'll be a few layback and 2 units fans down there waving the merchandise at him,
Sitting on the back of the
which would be great. But no, as sad as we are today, boy, we're so excited for him. He's had a great journey and was lucky enough to have a quick chat with Nick's wife Claire during the week, and she told us a bit about what Nick that we see here, but what she sees at home, and she was really kind to give us her time. So we're going to have a quick 60-second clip, and we're going to hear a bit more from Claire now.
He loves his racing, his AFL, and of course his Adam Sandler movies. But what would you say ranks at the top of that list?
He's not coming into your show, so I'm not sure how high on the priority list that is in racing. But you know what? This week, Happy Gilmore has been played this week.
How do you think that he will celebrate post-game on Saturday? Is he a nice glass of wine on the couch kind of man? Or is he call in sick for work on Monday sort of operator?
I think he'll still be going on Monday, to be honest.
There's been a big haircut change since last year compared to this year. Now, firstly, was that a Claire decision or was that a Footy decision? And do we think that's made an impact?
It's definitely got nothing to do with me. That is all Nick. And I don't know, like all these things that have had an impact, maybe he's just going to have to copy and paste for next year and just see what sticks, hey?
When he gets home from a game, is he, bit self-critical and analytical of the game, or is that just completely gone straight away and he doesn't think about it?
He is buzzing when he comes home. He comes home like hours after the game. They take a long time to kind of wind down from the game. And he always comes home via Macca's. So he always has his takeaway Macca's when he comes home.
You were with him on Monday when Nick got the call to say that he'd been selected for the big one. And I think we all want to know, how did he react?
Well, surprisingly, he was pretty lost for words, and that's not something I've seen before with Nick, and I'm sure it's probably not something you've witnessed yourself either. But yeah, he was pretty speechless when he got the call, and of course, absolutely ecstatic.
We'll have our opportunity to chat to Nick soon, but it's just us taking our time to say we're very, very proud of the great man, Nick Foot, and we hope to see him do really well on Saturday. So thank you so much for joining us, Claire, and we'll chat soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, how good was that? He just sounds like a big kid, basically. Macca's and Happy Gilmore.
Oh, exactly right. And And there were a few of things we didn't know, but geez, we could have guessed it, couldn't we?
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much to Claire for taking the time out of her day.
You just
to
have her number
provide us
on
with
speed
that.
dial or something, do you?
No, I had to stalk her business, find her business, get the number there without alerting Footy to what was going on. But she was great, so thanks so much for that. And we wish our absolute best to Footy on Saturday, and hope it's the great day that he's always been hoping for.
Do you reckon the haircut was the making of him?
Well, I'm certain he can say whatever he likes, but if he still had that slick back operation that he did last year, I'm certain he would have been dropped for this week.
Well done, well played there, Liam. Let's head to Rosehill now. As we touched off the top, and you put the Bureau of Meteorology in the lab in, the forecast has changed. As we record this, it's raining pretty heavily in Sydney, but it has changed. Not much rain around Friday and Saturday. What does that do for the track now, Liam? What are you expecting?
Well, I was expecting, as I said earlier, maybe a heavy 7 to an 8. But now, we've got a true rail, and we're dealing with a soft 5 currently as we record on Thursday. Yep. With still some rain falling today, but it doesn't seem like it'll get much worse than that. So I think a soft 5 is probably about the right spot, and if there's no rain race day, which it's starting to look that way, who knows? We might even end up on a good, but I'll be leaning towards a soft for now.
How have you got the track playing, Trent? Any bias or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Just that with this rain kind of changing a little bit, so I would have thought that they'd be looking to get off the fence if it was wet. But now I'm just expecting it to be typical Rosehill. If it's fast, it can be quite difficult to make ground once they kind of get into the straight and get moving. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we do with the rain.
I'll be very wary drying track on the inside that's chopped up a little bit. I'll be very wary of fence bias. I know you mentioned they might have been down the outside if it was raining on the day, but that's a little watch for me. We've got plenty of time to find out before we get to race 7, the races we're previewing here. The weather forecast and the track condition might change how we're playing this race, Liam, because Samana's an absolute wet tracker taking on Amelia's Jewel. How have you compared the two, and what do you like?
Yeah, we're super keen on Samana with the threat of rain, but not so because she's a swimmer, but because she goes in everything. She's just such a bomb-proof horse. Has been her last 12 months has just been exceptional, and I was really willing to take on Amelia's Jewel on a wet track. If we do get a dry track, it doesn't change things too much. It just means that Amelia's Jewel is much more in the race than she would have been otherwise.
Does she run if it's a wet track? Depends how wet it was.
Yeah, I would have imagined that if it had got to a heavy, they may have scratched Amelia. But either way, I think you can still be pretty confident on your bet with Samana here. She goes in everything. She's got second in a Cool More to Zougotcha, third in a Queen of the Turf behind Zougotcha and a Tissue, second in the Tatsiara behind Bella Nipotina, and we know how bomb-proof she's been. And then was terrific behind Via Sustina in the Wink Stakes first up. I think that's a terrific resume for a race like this. And I think she deserves favouritism, and I think $2.80 we're getting now is still over. So Samana for me, pretty keen. This will be close to the best of the day.
I think we've argued and disagreed on most races, but I think we're all pretty in agreement here.
And the other thing as well, Samana gets 3 kilos off Amelia's Jewel for, the ratings that they've been running have been almost identical at their peak, and she gets 3 kilos off her, which is significant, I think. And like you said, if the rain does come, then it's only more of an advantage for her. So I think the market now is fair enough, and if that were to be wet on the day, then you could really get Samana quite short and closer to even money, I think. Yeah. What
did you make of Amelia's Jewel's first up run, Trent? The form line, Royal Patronage was pretty unlucky, slowly away last week, but I thought the run was okay and could have won that if leading the way the track was playing as well last week. But I thought the run was a bit weird. She just struggled to get going and picked up late. Looked like she was potentially looking for further again. I know she was first up 1,400 metres there, but what did you make of that run?
Yeah, I thought it was a pass mark. I spoke to Annabelle Neesham last week, actually, and she was really happy with it. She said it was a really strong tempo, and she just worked to the line well. But there was horses around her that were, second, third, fourth behind her that probably wouldn't be much chance in some of these bigger races. So, I've kind of got her running to about 2 or 3 lengths off her best. She probably will need to run to her best with the 58 kilos here, which is, potentially not going to happen still over 1,400 metres. I think she'll really want a mile and maybe even 2,000 metres in time. So, yeah, I don't have too much between them, but I think the weight is the query for her, and Samana getting 3 kilos off her when I think there's not much between them is going to be the deciding factor.
I think we're all with Samana there. I don't need to add anything further. Let's head to the Group 1 Golden Rose, 1400 metres. What a fascinating race this is. Broadsiding, drawn barrier 1, which is very interesting. That the way the track is playing on the day might have a big impact on that. Liam, how do you see the speed and what do you think of the race?
Oh, what a race we've got ourselves here. You've got these boom horses that are now getting their chance to show it, and then you've got the last starts. You got the traffic wardens of the world who have gone through the roof from a ratings standpoint, and ends up taking their place, second in line. So fantastic race to come. I think Mayfair pushes forward and finds a lead. A Node has just been ever consistent and only knows one way, so a Node will be going up there too. Outside of them, I didn't actually think there was a crazy amount of pace. There's daggers, if it runs here, that might get Mayfair
Surely
back.
Does it run here?
Well, they were saying if it was going to be wet in Sydney, they wouldn't run, but now with this forecast changing, maybe they do chance they're on. But I mean, he does look better in it at Moonee Valley, but wait and see with that one.
For sure. And then, I mean, you've got traffic warden and linebacker who might try and take the second and third pairs behind the outside leader. And what does Storm Boy do from out wide? I mean, he certainly can't afford to jump out slowly again and push forward. So there is a little bit of space there on the map I've got. So if he jumps with them, he can slot in. And then broadsiding from 1 is probably the absolute worst draw he could have copped. And he's going to be well back and on the rails. So what happens from there will be very, very exciting. Obviously, you're never going to take on Godolphin in a situation like this, but it looks like a mighty proposition for him. So I'm going to be leaning the way of Traffic Warden. I think runs on the board, run to the Rose, went through the roof, looks really nice, suited out to the 1400. Linebacker went through the line really well there as well. So I've got both of them on top of Storm Boy and Broadsiding. Broadsiding I've got marked out crazily around about the $6 mark. So while I'm not having a bet for backing early in the race, Broadsiding will be my way.
Fascinating. What do you make of Storm Boy? He's got a barrier extension which may help him jump. I heard Adam Hieronymus talk about this. Obviously rode him early, rode him in the McLaughlin and the Magic Millions 2-year-old race before getting the boot, and got him to jump really well in those 2 races, and they took him off, and ever since then McDonald missed the start and him. Ryan Moore had issues with him at the start, and I heard Adam say he's a bit of a funny character in the barriers, and he kind of figured him out. So I was surprised to see Adam slowly away a little bit last start. How he jumps is going to be huge here, Trent. Yeah,
it absolutely is. I think the wide draw is probably a good thing for him, because even if he is a step slow away, I think they're really going to mark him urgent.
You think they'll go forward?
I really think they'll. I think they'll lead. I think they'll be marked urgent and really look to push on. And because I don't think everything he's done so far to me has suggested that he really wants a high pressure, strongly run race. I don't think that he's got much of a turn of foot, and some of these horses like a Traffic Warden just have that better acceleration and can reel off a much faster last 600 metres than him. We haven't really seen Storm Boy out to a trip when he's been set up to run well. You know, he had the run in the size, but it was a heavy 20 by that point, and it was just the end of a long prep. So I think they're really going to try and push on and run this along really strongly, and just keep running and use his stamina to their advantage.
If we wake up Saturday morning and there's more rain forecast, or that track is heavier, do you pen him, or is he still a chance on a heavy track, given what we saw in the size project?
I think it's too early to mark him off that one run.
Yeah.
The market still loved him in that size. He was a bit of a strange run. He was wide, but that track was, I don't think we're going to be anything near that. That track was really, really heavy that day.
Yeah.
And it's only one run, so I'm not particularly worried about it. And you'd probably prefer him to be on a good track, but if it does rain and we get into that soft range, I'm not too worried.
So who are you with before you get into your lay? Who do you like?
I'm keen to back I'm keen to have 3 bets in this race, to be honest. I'm happy to Dutch Traffic Warden and Storm Boy. I think they're the 2 that have the peak ratings that can win this. Storm Boy's first up rating is the best that anything has done in this field, and Traffic Warden first up in the run to the Rose was outstanding as well. He'll love 1400 metres. I think they'll both really love 1400 metres, to be honest. They're the 2 that I've clearly got on top and can't split too much between them. And then the lay.
You do have an opinion here.
I'm very, very opinionated here. Broadsiding is far too short. I'm like Clance. I've got him marked $6, $7, and that's being conservative. Horses first up in the Golden Rose. There's been 5 of them. No one's ever won it before, and the best of the finishing one was the Yankee Rose in 2016. She finished 6th as favourite. You had Shinzo last year finishing 9th, and the rest of them have finished 12th. So Broadsiding might be a little bit better than a lot of those, but even his ratings that he was running in the Champagne and the JJ Atkins, he would have to improve on those to be winning this, and I don't think he's going to be doing that first up with a Caulfield Guineas and potentially a Cox Plate in mind.
He's a scary horse. He could well be the best horse in the race, and I don't like laying best horse in race, but good opinion to back him win and place with such a strong opinion, or?
Well, if he's, probably going to be, $1.50 to place or something, and I probably will have something to try and see him finish outside the top 3.
Scary there. I love that. Good opinion. Broadsiding a lay there for Trent. I have struggled with this race. I want to see how the track's playing. I need to do a bit more work on it, and the weather's obviously throwing me off a little bit as well, so... no huge opinion there. I respect both of your views on broadsiding. Let's get to the Group 2 Shannon Stakes over 1,500 metres. Always a competitive and good race. Liam, who do you like here, mate?
No bet for me early here is the short of it. I think more victorious and bases loaded only really know one way, so they'll both go to the front and ensure a pretty strong tempo. I think Freedom Rally has been somewhat disappointing coming down to Sydney. The goal on curse continues, I guess. And Freedom Rally is an extraordinary horse up in Queensland, but was certainly entitled to do more at both runs I've seen so far. So
I thought it was good first up. Second up was fine.
Yeah, but even first up, I thought was entitled to do more through the line. Had a pretty easy run behind them. So, I think pretty happy to take that horse
smashed
on.
in betting first up.
Yeah, which worried me at the time for sure. But no, there's no clear bet for me, but I think those coming out of that Theo Marks are the horses I want to be on. Bases Loaded was fantastic, having to go wide and push forward, but he's going to have to do the same again. Here I'd expect Celestial Legend to improve from that race, but again, too short at the $5 mark for me. Townhauser and New Endeavour were two that I was... New Energy were two that went through the line really well in that race. That will certainly enjoy the extra distance out to the 1,500 here. So we're getting $9, or we're getting $10 for New Energy and 21 for Townhauser. So if I was to have a bet early, I'd be leaning those ways, but certainly no strong opinion from me in this one.
Trent?
Yeah, I think you can play a couple of horses in this race. I think a couple of horses on speed. I'm with Bases Loaded as probably the horse to beat. I liked his run first up in the Theo Marks. NCAP had just had the run under the belt, and I think that was the difference in the end. He is drawn wide, but again, I'm not too worried about wide barriers when you know that they're going to go forward and settle on speed. He's got Tim Clark on for Woodhouse and Bott. So, if he gets caught wide, so be it. But I think he'll roll forward, and I think he ran to his rating that he did winning in Queensland before a spell. He ran to that first up, which I think is always a really good sign that they've come back better and can elevate second up. And the other one, I think, Amor Victorious. He's been okay in 2 runs back. He's placed in both. The market really loved him last start. It was a benchmark 100, but he carried 57 and was beaten by Chael Wolf, who put up a really strong rating there. He's coming back to the Epsom as well and will be a big chance in that. The market, had him going to a huge number that day, and he drops down to 53 kilos. Third up, he maps through an ideal run on speed, and I think if he runs to anything like the market had him going to last start, he would win this. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think it still puts him right in the mix at each way odds.
Yeah, interesting. Tough race for me. I've got a big eye on Celestial Legend, how he parades. I think almost a barrier trial first up. This suits much better any rain around. I know he has to concede weight to the rest of the field, but he meets basically every runner through that last start. Theo Marks better at the weights and second up now from a good barrier. I think he could be a star on the rise. Obviously won the Doncaster, and that's not saying too much. So he could well be best horse in race, but has to carry the weight there. Big watch how he parades. Anything else on the card at Rosehill for you, Trent? So you had a look. Anything you're keen on?
I think that'll probably do it for me. I think, the Shannon is probably the race the Shannon and the Golden Rose are the 2 races I'm keenest to play in. Like I said, pretty keen to be against broadsiding, and Amor Victorious in the Shannon will probably be one of my better results on the day. Love
that. We'll continue your talking because we'll bring up the lay streak. You got $100 to spend to lay something there, Trent, and I assume it's, who do you reckon it'll be, Liam?
I've got a decent idea what it might be.
Yeah, it certainly will be broadsiding. I don't know whether we want to go the win or the place or a bit of both, but yeah, we'll be taking on broadsiding pretty heavily there, and I think he started to drift a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking to back in that you'll get $4 on the day comfortably. But yeah, heavily against broadsiding in the Golden Rose.
Liam, your bank is building in the lay streak. You're up to $207.83.
Yeah, we've had a bit of luck. We've having said that, I think laid Celestial Legend in the Theo Marks was $4.80 on the show, copped $9.20 BSP, and then last week, Lady of Camelot, the place. And it was equal $4.80 favourite opened up, ended up jumping $18 and forced something in place. So hopefully that that continues and we keep laying these things.
Yeah, we're on the
as
right
early
track.
As we can.
Yeah.
And Growing Empire is the one I'll be taking on in the Manikato Stakes here. So hopefully, I mean, we're currently $6, $5.50.
Could start 10s.
Yes, and I think might. Happy to take on Growing Empire in the Manikato Stakes, and there's plenty of talent in that race to get him beat.
I'm with you with Growing Empire. I'm laying Growing Empire. But if Daggers runs 1,600 metres at the Valley, I'm laying him. Ties in with a lot of these 1,600 metres, the query, and he's obviously in for the Golden Rose at 1,400 metres. So is that the target? If he doesn't run at Moonee Valley, I won't lose. So we're good.
Just keep that $111.11 for another day.
Correct. So that's my lay, race 7, race 6, number 4 at Moonee Valley. Daggers, their best bets. We'll start with this time, Liam.
Yeah, really keen, Samana. Race 7 at Rosehill, number 4. I think she is the best of the day.
Trent,
I've got a few there.
I've got RSI and typing all these best bets in. Read them off.
Yeah, there's a few to be had. In the Manikato, I think Coleman will get out to a really good price each way. I think he's going to be well suited up to 1,200 metres. Found the rest of the Valley card quite tricky. But in Sydney, Stormboy and Traffic Warden is a bit of a Dutch bet and laying broadsiding at the same time. And then in Sydney as well on the Shannon, I think Amor Victorious is a good each way play. I think, down in the weights, he maps really well. I think he'll give a huge start for your money.
There you go. Good summary.
Debut, and he just rattles off 4 best bets.
He might be a regular or never seen again.
Might be going out in a blaze of glory.
If broadsiding wins, we won't see him on the show again, probably. He might not want to come back on. I'm pretty keen, Henline, just a different form. I'll save on yours as well, Liam. You made a good case, just a different form and laying Daggers there. So race 6, number 7, Henline at Moonee Valley, for me, is one of my better bets. I agree. Samana looks over the odds, can start 210. For mine, so I'll be backing her. No Saturday Metropolitan strong meeting with Grand Final here. So we've got Bella Anderson, who's doing Manny Yard at Moonee Valley Friday night. So if you're a fan of her work, check that all out on the Betfair app and the socials for Friday night at Moonee Valley. Anything else to add before we wrap up, Liam?
Nah, just big thanks to Trent for today.
It's been good, hasn't he?
He's come very well prepared.
We'll get him on again.
Makes a lot of sense when I'm used to Reece Goodman sitting there next to me. So absolute pleasure having you here, Trent. So thanks for that, and obviously best of luck to Footy on Saturday.
Yes, best of luck, Nick Foot, and good luck to all those having a bet. Gamble responsibly, and thanks for joining us on Layback with Betfair.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.